All right. Welcome, everybody, to the second episode of Overcoming Writer's Block. My name is Zach Trandum. I'm here with special guest Tony Flying-Squirrel. Tony and I are both songwriters. Tony has been doing music for much longer than I have. That's not saying anything about your age. It's just a fact. So I wanted to bring him in today as we start looking at some new tools. This is from the Berklee College Online, and she presented a really great method of working through your songs when you're in the writing process of trying different things. And it looks like this. A little bit maybe preschoolish, her words, not mine.
Or incriminating.
Or incriminating, you know. However, the way that she lays things out is very, very easy to understand. It's extremely valuable. I found it just starting to think through some of the songs that I've been working on. Using these things has really helped me a lot. We're going to start with contrast with melody. And the picture was of two hands. The first hand is representative of pitch. And on each finger, you've got lower or raise the pitch, follow or avoid chord roots, change the shape, which means you could look at ascending or descending, arc up or down, counter the movement of the bass. You can look at passing or chord tones, and then intervallic clustered chords. Really, this is just a tool to get you thinking, again, differently. Tony brought one of his songs that is in the works that we're going to use. Will you give us a little taste of what you have in mind? Just a little chunk of it.
Contextually, this song is about a person's conversion process, spiritually, to become a Jesus follower. Usually in either later in life, near the end of life. In one case, in one particular verse, it's at that very moment. Other times, it's in adverse circumstances. They got caught doing something they shouldn't have. They were repentant and such. The verses kind of come off a little bit dark, lyrically, but they're cast upon this kind of major, bluegrassy, upbeat kind of verses. And that's all I have right now is just the verses. There's just a working title of End Me, Begin He, but that'll likely change because I've asked Zach to come in and help me write the choruses to this. So taking just a real basic little, and I haven't sang this in a bit, so my phrasing might be off, but it's just real. I met Jesus in, see? I met Jesus in East Block 433, doing 2 to 6 in Folsom on a B&E. The preacher came and said, you gotta be born again. But my body's bound, my soul is finally free. So the melody and the musical construct follows that same sensibility. Just the stories change in the other verses. Being that this is a bluegrass tune, which if you ever listen to old school bluegrass, and I'm talking all the way back to the 30s and 40s, and fortunately for bluegrass, that genre has remained reasonably organic and true to form, whereas country has taken off on a whole bunch of different.
It's more of a rock
pop twang.
Yeah.
This, being that I'm, my native ancestry is from Appalachia, I wanted to retain that mountain vibe and that very organic kind of nature to it.
One of the things that we're going to focus on as Tony and I explore writing the chorus to the song is holding true to those types of vocal harmonies. So for instance, in pop music, oftentimes in jazz music, when you sing vocal harmonies, the harmonies do this and they cross a lot of the times. The unique thing about bluegrass, and you'll find this in Southern gospel music as well, the unique sound that it gets is one of the reasons for that is because the harmonies do this. and they follow each other. They never cross. They retain their position. We're going to keep that in mind as Tony as I dig into the chorus.
I might add, it does that in a number of ways. One would be chromatically, another would be diatonically, meaning that it follows the note of the scale. So, for instance, if you're on an E as a melody and you go up in pitch, and harmony is the third, that third starts at G. But then when you get to the half steps and the whole steps, they remain scale correct in those intervals. Chromatically would be they're a perfect unison, meaning like a perfect fifth, where it's always the exact same number of notes apart from one another.
Let's play with the 5 fingers of pitch. Let's start with the pinky finger, which is lowering or raising the pitch. Tony, go ahead and play this first verse again, just so we can try to pull an idea from the content of what we might see this chorus developing into.
Okay, so I met Jesus in his block 433, do 2 to 6 at Folsom on a B&E. The preacher came and said, you gotta be born again. My body's bound, my soul is finally free.
Cool. I think the initial idea that I had with this when you played this for me for the first time, you're playing an E minor chord of that opening part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the G is natural.
My idea was to actually shift to go to a major chord. So,
Ooh, what was that last one you did?
C.
That'd be something interesting to start a chorus with.
Sing this last line, though my body's bound.
Oh, my body's bound, my soul is finally free.
Oh, Jesus.
Going from a C to
Oh, Jesus.
yeah, something like that. Because what it does, it shifts that mood. You're going 2 perspectives here. You're going either a sixth above or a third below. It shifts the mood from minor to major, which also serves the sensibility that we discussed about lyrically. These verses have the context of somebody that's really in bad shape, and they're either going to spend a long time paying for it here, or they're about to pay for it ultimately, eternally. So contrasting that to how we found Jesus in this predicament situation.
It's a lift. It's a release of tension.
The thing I discussed with Zach was approaching the choruses completely opposite, how Jesus pursues us, lifting it from this major, really kind of gloomy, fatalistic situation to Jesus in that major mode kind of way, the happiness, the joy, the victory of that. So that's one of the things that we were discussing as well and looking at.
I want to point out that one of the things about this verse is that the shape of the melody ends down. Mm-hmm. My soul is finally free. Yeah, it ends down. So as we enter into going into the chorus, moving in the opposite direction, going up, I think is a great contrast.
Yeah. And you also just as you started that first line, I'm not sure if you noticed this, but you also served one of the other things that's shared in this principle is if you have a very syllable dense verse to consider, loosening it up and making longer phrases in the chorus.
So let's start with just developing a melody for the chorus. I really love immediately jumping up to that E going. And then it comes drops down, and by shaping the melody that way, by arcing down, we are stepping back into the setup for the next verse.
Yeah, it's an easy step. You only have a step or two to make versus a drastic transition.
Right. So let's touch on the first finger. Why don't we do that? Lowering or raising the pitch. That is, in the context of writing your song, if you are struggling to find a melody, simply try, even at just the end of a phrase, try raising the pitch into a different direction. So, if we're singing something like, sitting on a bench on a long and dusty road, and you're not really satisfied with that, try just doing a simple change. And these are, again, really simple and applicable things to what you're writing. So, sitting on a bench on a long and dusty road, or something. Sitting on a bench on a long and dusty road. Just going even just back to that same note. Lowering or raising the pitch could shift you in the direction that you want to go. The other thing that you can look at, so for instance, we're on an E minor chord, is either following or avoiding the root of the chord. So if we're playing an E minor, the root is E. So sitting, so we're actually not starting on the root, we're starting on the 5. Sitting on a bench on a long and dusty road. But if you wanted to start with the root, sitting on a bench on a long and dusty road, because that sounds, sitting on a bench on a long and dusty road.
These are really valuable principles, because wherever you place that emphatic word, the note selection on that word services what you're trying to convey across in the message of those phrases.
Lower or raise the pitch. Very simple. Sitting on a bench on a long and dusty road. Sitting on a bench on a long and dusty road. Very simple concept. You could follow or avoid the root of the chord. So that version, we were starting on the 5th. You could start on the root. Sitting on a bench on a long and dusty road. You could change the shape of your melody. A moving bass line, you could follow the direction of that bass line or counter it. I kind of like the idea of having the bass line moving one direction and your vocal moving the other. But then you can also look at things like passing or chord tones. I'm not going to go into an explanation of what those are. You can Google it. When it comes to contrasting your melody with your chords, with your chord structure, think about how close together the notes in your chords are. That if you have chords that are very tight, that's called clustering. If you have chords that are more spaced out, they just have a wider sound. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Overcoming Writer's Block. We hope that what you heard today was valuable and you can apply it to your own songwriting. Tune in every other Saturday for new content from Of Dust as we strive to become better songwriters, better musicians. We love and appreciate you guys. We hope you'll like and subscribe and share the content with your friends. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much.